Hey guys, Paul Morrow here again for Robsdesk.org doing the big news recap for Tuesday, 1 July. Here we go. A lot of things going on today. As we've all heard, there have been these two cases going on, Brian Kohberger and Diddy, and both of them seem to have some movement. Kohberger, we got the plea deal. Now, tomorrow, Wednesday, don't expect much. He's just going to change his plea unless the judge throws a curveball or the families show up and create a bit of a ruckus. Tomorrow should be pretty pro forma. But I did a whole video on the Kohberger thing. I posted it earlier today, so my feelings there are apparent. But I keep coming back in my mind to one thing. For the prosecution to have said to themselves, okay, we're going to catch hell from these families, yet we're going to take the plea deal anyway, tells me they had vulnerabilities, man. And whether it was due to the leaks and they didn't want the leak investigation, or whether it was an appeals issue, something is there. Because for them to say, you know what, we have this case, it looks like a slam dunk, the families are going to roast us on social media, everybody in the country is looking at this, take the deal, just color me as skeptical. There's something there. Number two, the Diddy case, we don't know how this really shook out yet, all right? I know everybody's got an opinion. I was on the 5 today about it, but the bottom line is we have a decision reportedly on 4, a verdict on 4 of the 5 counts, but we don't know what that is. Now, generally, yes, a fast decision usually means guilty, but we don't know that. And the other thing is this. Opinions changed. The judge sent them back in to continue to deliberate on the 5th charge, which is presumably the first charge, actually, which is RICO, which does feel like a little bit of a reach to me. So there's that. But either way, if he's convicted on anything, understand something. Yeah, he's going to appeal. He's going to have the money for appellate lawyers and everything else, but he's staying in jail. And, if he gets convicted on everything here, he's looking at a lot of years. And I say that because he's going to, of course, make an application to stay out while they appeal. But I doubt the judge is going to go for it because he's a guy with a lot of money, and they're going to want to safeguard this case if they go forward on a retrial of any charge on which the jury hangs. Because you don't want him running around out there with all kinds of money, and, he could influence witnesses and play his case in the media. You don't want that. So if he's convicted on anything, he's staying in, irrespective of whether or not they hang on the top charge, which is the RICO charge, which, as I said, I talked to Derek Parker about it on the podcast. That one's always been a bit of a reach for me. And I'm actually surprised Southern did it. I think they did it so they could reach back and bring in all kinds of old stuff, because with a RICO, you can do that. And that gets that video in, the infamous video of him smacking Cassie around by the elevator. It's terrible. All right, let's move on. Mamdani. New information about Mamdani I find very interesting. You can find it at the ops desk. Mamdani is saying that if Netanyahu comes to New York, he's going to arrest him. I hope he tries to do that, and here's why. That's not a lawful order, and the NYPD should refuse it. And you're talking to a guy who was an orders follower, okay? As part of a paramilitary organization, the NYPD, you follow your orders, but that's not a lawful order. We are not a signatory to the International Criminal Court. It has no impact here. And for Mamdani to say, under the warrant from the ICC, we're going to arrest Netanyahu, is him tantamount to saying, I am going to commit a felony against Netanyahu. It'll be kidnapping and a series of other charges. And in fact, if Mamdani, which I doubt, but if Mamdani has done anything in regard, if he has set it up so that if I'm mayor, I'm going to grab this guy, you'd already have, believe it or not, a conspiracy. Now, that's a reach. It's not going to happen. But if Mamdani gets elected and Netanyahu decides to come to New York and Mamdani says, arrest Netanyahu, not only should the NYPD tell him no, but the feds should arrest Mamdani. All of that is entirely legitimate. And you can read about it on the ops desk, all right? Excellent article by our legal editor. Real quick, I just want to mention that we have this DOJ takedown regarding espionage, a whole series of takedowns. Dan Bongino, deputy director of the FBI, hit the ground running, and you had big DOJ espionage takedowns. As I said last night, Donald Trump has DOJ working, man. And look, the Epstein stuff, that's not sitting with the FBI. That's with DOJ. That's a different thing. But the FBI is booming doors and taking people. And what it demonstrates is that for the last 4 years, we've taken our eye off the ball on this. I talked about it last night. I'm sorry. I came out of the intel world as well as the police world. The Democrats let this slide. Godspeed to the FBI on this. Paul Morrow for the Ops Desk.